Welcome back to another episode of Not Ball Talk. Got your host D, co-host Keith, and we got a couple new topics here for you guys today. We're going to talk about. The first one we're going to start talking about is one thing we bring it to the light is it's now playoff time in NFL. So we want to talk about who we think are actual contenders and actual pretenders for the Super Bowl trophy. We're going to start with the NFC. I'm gonna go down the list and I'm gonna say what I think is who I think are some actually pretenders and some contenders and some who might could like win a game and then get bounced out after that. The Niners, obvious contender. We know what the Niners bring in game in. Dallas, I'm in between on.
Pretender. The Detroit game proved it as much as you needed to.
I'm still in between on Dallas, but I think if they can get the right matchups, they can make a little run. I've seen something different in Dak this year than I've seen in previous years.
You see, you go through the same thing because people act like Dak is just like playing outworldly this year. Like he's playing good this year, but he's always been a good passer of the football. It just when it comes down to those moments where Dak has to be the reason they need to win, or he has to be that guy. He just in the moment cannot be that guy, and it shows in away games because when you have no fans rooting for you at all, and the only people that are supporting you are the ones on your sideline, he crumbles. And in the playoffs, that's the time you can't crumble. You see the quarterbacks that succeed in the playoffs are the clutchest ones. I don't know if I've been shown enough from Dak that against those, because they're gonna have to play 3 straight tough games against good teams to make it to the Super Bowl, regardless, because there's no more cupcake matchups. So Dak's not gonna be able to take advantage of the cupcake matchups of the nice little home games to boost morale anymore. Like it's time to go, and I don't think Dak got that.
But I also think that the defense could help out a little bit depending on who they play and when they play them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm in between, but I'm gonna lean more so. One, I say it depends who they play in the first round. Depending on who they play in the first round will show me something. Or their first game, I'm not gonna say first round.
How poetic would it be if they played Tampa in the first week and lost in the first week?
That would be tough. But I think if Green Bay win, I think they play Green Bay or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd beat Green Bay.
I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna say contender only because the NFC is a little shaky. The only team that really looked consistent in the NFC is the Niners. Well, I wouldn't say consistent, but whenever Brock Purdy plays good, the rest of the team plays good. Next, we got Detroit.
Contender.
I go with contender, but they have fraudulent tendencies.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I think the fraudulent tendencies just comes from them being like new to this. Like this is for like the past decade plus. The Lions have sucked. This is new territory for them, being number one in their division, being close to number one in the NFC. So it's all new to them. So they don't really have like the coaches that are going to be like, this is how we should, be acting throughout the week. Or they don't have the veteran presence that are like, this is how we going to act throughout the week. Like half the veterans on that team, this is their first time making it to the playoffs. And truthfully, the veteran in that room, I guess, would be Jared Goff, and that's because he's made it to a Super Bowl before. So it's the fraudulent moments, I think, just comes from them being new to this. But when they're hot, and if they can get a nice little hot streak going in the playoffs, they can get something real spicy.
But the thing I will say with the Lions, though, they can't have Dan Campbell making them crazy calls again. That was crazy what he did against Dallas. He should have respectfully, even though if the lineman did check it or not, bro, you got 3 chances, bro. You just got to tie the game up going to overtime.
But you got to look at it like this. And I'm pretty sure this is how he looks at it because this is how he was going about it the whole time. What did he really have to lose? Okay, if they don't get it, they lose the game. Still number one in my division. Nothing much changed rankings wise. But if I win, that only helps me gain momentum. And then truth be told, he should have got it. Like they really should have got it. He didn't have much to lose. And beating Dallas, I think, does more for you than losing to Dallas. If they lost, so what? Even Amon Ross said it on his podcast. He was like, we know if we play them again, we're going to beat them because they just have that confidence. But you'd rather instill that, that confidence in your players when you play Dallas week, whatever it was, week 15, 16, than see Dallas in the playoffs. And then you're down 1 point and you're like, should I go for 2 or not?
But in the regular, but like I feel what you're saying. He didn't have nothing to lose at the end of the day, but it's still like, why not just play for the next down after you got 3 chances? The first one they caught a flag. All right, cool, you ain't get that one. Second one, you got another chance. On that third time, I'm kicking a field goal. We're going into overtime. Like, what are we talking about? That's I like. Nah, he should have had done that. In my opinion, you got 3 times. You got 3 chances to tie the ball game up and go into overtime and have another chance. I mean, maybe he just wanted to end the game right then and there. I'm not against it all the way, but
The one I will say is because I agree with him going for it on the first play because it was on the 2 yard line,
yeah,
and
that's
then
cool.
they didn't get it and it got pushed back 5 yards and it was like 2nd and goal from the 7. Then I would have kicked it because then you're playing with fire. Okay, I'm gonna go in overtime, but then he went gully with it, went for it again, and then ended up getting another flag and being put back on the 2. You can't go for it both those times, and then on that third time you get another easy chance and you end up kicking it. Then you look scared. And Dan Campbell's the last person to be scared.
But I think they still got a good enough unit around them, and they have the offense to also win too. I have a lot of faith in their offense in that NFC side to go and win that game. They got something nice going
When
on.
they're hot though, because they're a very timing offense, and if they could go, if like Dallas can, or if they play like the Niners or one of those good defenses that can make Jared Goff second guess or throw his timing off just a pitch, that's how you beat the Lions. You make Jared Goff start second guessing those because those timing throws, that's what he is. That's
But
his.
they still got a run game though.
They do, but the run game only gonna get you but so far in the playoffs. Like especially against those better teams, they're gonna adjust in the
Oh,
end
I
game.
see Dallas run defense get killed by James Cook. I don't know if they can handle Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. I don't know. I'm just saying, if they see Dallas and they could play that you know what I'm saying, they want to make Jared Goff win that game. A couple of them handoffs is gonna be real sweet.
That's how you gonna. That's how you beat the Lions. You make Jared Goff. Trust me, I told you I think Jared Goff's one of the better QBs. But the way to beat the Lions is not through trying to, let the run game do whatever. Like you got to stop the run game and let Jared Goff piece you up. And if he pieces you up, so be it.
Yeah. The next team, I'm just going down how they have the playoff standings right now, and they have Tampa Bay in fourth. Tampa Bay, I think, is they're pretenders, but I think they still could probably like surprisingly win a game with that offense.
I say don't sleep on one. They
Yeah.
sneak out one.
Nah, they could sneak out one. It's like one of them sleeper games, like a trap game, kind of sort of say. So
Their first game's at home, right? Because they won their division.
if they win a division, yeah,
Oh,
the
okay.
Saints still could win it, I believe.
Oh God, that division is awful.
Yeah, that division is trash. Next, we got Philly.
Pretender, as much as you pretender. There's no way you watch that Philly.
I can't say that. I can't say that.
Okay, let's go down it. They went on a 3-game losing streak, and yes, it was a tough stretch. They went down, who was it? Dallas, then San Fran, and then they lost to Seattle. And the Seattle one was like, okay, Seattle's an okay team, so you shouldn't have lost. Huh?
So they beat Dallas that first stretch.
No. They beat
Yeah, they
no,
beat Dallas the first time.
no. Yeah, they beat Dallas the first time, but they lost. They played them the second time, and that's when they started their losing streak because they lost to Dallas.
Yeah, okay. But they beat. It was KC they beat, then Dallas, then they lost to the Niners.
It was Buffalo that they beat. They beat Buffalo.
Buffalo, my fault. Buffalo.
And then they lost to Niners and lost to Dallas and they lost to Seattle. But then they played the Giants. And they let the Giants tail with them till the end of that game. The Giants are not a good team. That's a fact. We've been talking about it for this entire season. And they toyed with them the entire way. And truth be told, should have lost that game. On the last play, I want to lose, so I'm not mad about it. But they should have called a pass interference on the last play. A few missed penalties on the last drive. And then you follow up a questionable win against the Giants with a loss to Arizona. They're crumbling inside. They're pointing fingers. Their defensive captains and offensive captains are not leading the team how they were last year. Your Nick Sirianni has practically lost everybody. Everybody's calling for his neck. That Philly team is just all about pointing fingers right now. And they're one game away from the playoffs, and that's where you're at. No way you're going to go into the playoffs and you actually make some noise.
I'm not going to say contender because they still have a lot of talent on that roster, and I've seen them come out of numerous games where I think they should have won. I still think they make again, I think that's another team where it depends on a matchup, but I still have a little bit of faith in Philly because their team is just like they perform better when their backs is against the wall. That's literally Philly's identity. When they're down 15, 16, 17 points going into the fourth quarter, going into halftime, we've seen Philly come out on top multiple times. So I just think this is another little bump in the road. It's playoff time. I think Philly will come together and piece things together. But like you just said, they are crumbling at a bad time, so they very well can be a first round bounce if they don't
And
you can't
I'll
lock in.
save it for the later part of the show, but I'm gonna tell you another piece why I think they're a contender if they decide to do something going into this last game. But we'll go on to the next team.
So the next team that was on the standings is the Los Angeles Rams.
Contender for me. I think they really can make a shot. Matthew Stafford has been balling this year.
I don't know.
And it even just came against a tough game. You know, they really should have lost to us, but they beat us by one. But that team has experience. They've got, they've got defensive talent, offensive talent. They've got a quarterback who, has. I really think Matthew Stafford is a top 3, maybe top 2 thrower of the football. When it all breaks. When you break it down, D, like he's something special.
Are we talking about like right now? You're saying like all the time?
Oh, right now, not all time.
No, right now it's still crazy. No, he not.
I don't know. Like you can name me 3 dudes who throw the football better than Matthew Stafford.
Are we saying like give me like concept? We mean throw the ball because I can name you 2 off the top of my head.
I'm talking like drop back, throwing at a ridiculous angle, manipulating safeties with your shoulders, with your feet, throwing off like there's certain levels to that he just takes it above and beyond. Like you can't name me 3 guys that do it as good as him.
Mahomes, Herbert.
Stop with this Herbert nonsense. Stop it.
What? Nonsense. What are we talking about?
Herbert is not a better of that. Like he may throw, he throws a phenomenal ball, but Matthew Stafford has been doing this for so long. Please put some respect on his name. Like he and Bama's be on Mahomes. Jones talking about something that pass looked a little Mahomey. No, Stafford started those no look passes.
That's cool and all, but you can't tell me Herbert don't make better throws. Come on, bro. Any throw Matthew Stafford can make, Herbert could do that times 10. Like, come on, bro.
I just don't know, D. I just don't know.
It's in the film. It's literally in the film.
Go by Herbert. You have Chargers by, but go by. I'll give you Herbert. Give me the third.
I mean, you could possibly put Matthew Stafford third, bro. But like, I could really get nasty and be like, you know what I'm saying? I done seen Lamar do some crazy stuff too.
I think Lamar top 5, but I really need you to sit down and like watch just a 5-minute clip of just purely Matthew Stafford's throws.
His throw is cool. I'm not taking nothing away from Matthew Stafford. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? His throws is crazy. Like he knows where to put it, how to put it, and what he needs to do in order to put it in the right spot for the wide receivers / running backs to catch the ball. I'm just saying, Lamar, Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes literally be doing the same thing. And Lamar be doing it a little bit better sometimes with less wide receiver help. That's all I'm saying.
And my college is my favorite thing. We're not gonna talk draft, but my favorite comparison for Penix is Matthew Stafford, just because of how good they are at throwing the football. I'm telling you, D.
Watch Matthew Stafford comp. I'm all right. I'm not gonna shoot it down. Maybe I just gotta watch. I gotta watch
early career Matthew Stafford, because now post career he's not throwing with as much velocity. But if you watch Matthew Stafford from his beginning of his career, he used to just be throwing piss missile after piss missile. And then obviously age took a part, so he's not throwing that hard anymore. But he used to throw the shit out of the ball.
All right, I gotta watch and compare.
Yeah, but go on to the next team.
Next team is Green Bay. I think they're pretenders. They're still a good team though. I like what Green Bay got going on. You like to say something? What you about to say? Go ahead, bro.
No. It wasn't. I was just gonna say it all depends on what Jordan Love does, because as you say, if he's hot, like they're not a contender, but they'll give some of them contenders a run for their money.
They're in the middle. It's like, you know what I'm saying, they can keep up with the best of teams of how, like you said, how Jordan Love is, but it's still, and their defense isn't that bad, but it's a defensive coordinator that really be causing them the problem.
No, Barry, bro, he is awful.
Yeah, because they have talent on the defensive side of the ball, but it's like the play calling just don't be making sense sometimes. But definitely, Green Bay is definitely a decent team. I like what they got going on. Future wise, I just think this year they could probably match up against a better coach team or a better talented team and just come out with a loss. Or they could very well come out with a win depending on how their offense plays. Because we've seen Green Bay stay with some of the best of them and very well lose the game or very well just win the game. So like you say, it depends all on Jordan Love and how he plays. They really have a nice young solid group going on there with years down the road to come. Next is Seattle. Same thing with Seattle, kinda. They got talent on both sides of the ball. You just don't know which Seattle you're getting each game. But the biggest question mark is that quarterback. They got to figure out something in that quarterback room.
Yeah, I was about to say they don't even know what quarterback they're gonna go into each week with. So I
Yeah,
can't really give it to them.
yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with pretender, but they same thing as like a Green Bay and a Tampa Bay. They still have a chance to rudely awaken one of these top premier teams in the NFC. Surprisingly, like I said, it all depends on how the quarterback comes on to play and the defense too. I done seen their defense have some nice shutout games, and then next week they let up like 30 points for some reason. New Orleans pretender
Pretender.
defense nice though, but
I was just say solely off of their quarterback situation. Pretender,
yeah,
like if
yeah,
they've got Carr in, their team is a joke. If they've got Jameis in, their team is a meme. Like there's no taking that team serious.
yeah. But that defense is really that
That
defense right.
quarterback room is really it.
Yeah, it's like the defense. It's like the defense is all the way up here. Like your defense, their defense really be locking up. It's
Mhm.
like offense get the ball. It just be sad because they got Derek Carr at quarterback.
And it really gets demoralizing for a defense when you even if it's for just the first half, if you only allow maybe 3 points or 7 points, but after every drive, in the back of your head that offense is going to go out there and go 3 and out or pick up a first down and then punt. Like you get to a certain point where it's like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah,
And then you can see a defense, maybe stop flying sideline to sideline as hard as they were in the first half, or a guy might not make that extra effort play because he's asking himself, is it worth it? And
yeah.
those things are the difference between, how the Ravens play defense and how the Saints play defense. Those are the difference.
Last team in the NFC is Minnesota. Unfortunately, they're definitely pretenders.
Yeah, if you got Nick Mullins at QB, you ain't contending nothing.
Yeah, it's sad to see because Kirk. Oh my gosh, I was loving Kirk Cousins beginning of this season, bro. And I really thought they had some bright lights ahead of them, and the defense started coming together towards the end of this season too. But yeah, with Jettis getting injured, Kirk Cousins getting injured out for the season, and then now T.J. Hawkinson definitely yeah, it's
That's a team I would love to get Penix. I would love to see him just come in there and just deliver to J.A. Hawkinson and Jettis. Oh God.
yeah. But I still think even if they get if they don't get like a premier quarterback this year, next year they have the chance to get somebody, and if they possibly get like a second round this year. I'm not too familiar with the QB room after like the first 4 to 5, but I think it's some cool guys out there. But next year is definitely some cool guys out there too, where I think Minnesota probably should like try to sneak around and get one. But yeah, unfortunately, they're definitely pretenders. But they had a good start though. Well, a bad start in the middle of the season. They start piecing together, then ended it off really bad for them. But yeah, my pick to come on the NFC though,
That's got to be the Niners.
I feel like the Niners is the obvious pick though.
Obvious is always bad.
It got to be the Niners, but if Brock Purdy don't play good in one of them games, then it's
Yeah,
gonna be open.
I think my rankings would go Niners, Detroit, Dallas.
Oh, so you really just don't like Philly?
It's not like that. Like I promise you, this is not like a dislike thing. They are genuinely not a good football team at the moment. They're not. They have it on paper, but on
I'm gonna
paper
go.
is what gets put out there on Sunday. Their team on offense is running on second and 20 QB draw, on 3rd and 16 QB draw. The play calling is not good. The quarterback's questioning himself. The receiver, like AJ Brown's throwing his hands up, like, what are y'all doing at the end of the game? Please
Yeah,
do watch
I'm,
them. They are awful.
I'm gonna go Niners as of course the obvious pick, but for my second and third, I'm gonna go somewhere different because I think it's their time. Second, I'm gonna go Detroit.
I'm so glad you say Dallas. When you said gets their time, I was just like, he's better not say Dallas.
Nah, Dallas is like I don't know. Dallas they can go, but I just don't. I can't pick them to go over Detroit. Dallas, I got to see.
But
I really got to.
I can't put my finger on it with Dallas because like on defense, they probably have the best defense, not the best, but a top 3 defense. And then on offense, I know I said it was Dak, but like you have everything you want. You have a pretty decent O line. You have a good running back. Your receiver that you asked to grow performed like a wide receiver 1 this year. You got Brandon Cooks. What questions is there? Why aren't y'all being able to do this?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think Dallas still could make a run for it. Possibly. I'm not counting them out for sure, but I'm gonna go Niners, Detroit, and I'm gonna go with a sleeper only because they're high. And a sleeper is people might look at me weird, but don't sleep on the Rams. Don't sleep
You
on
looked
the
at me crazy when I said the Rams were contenders.
Nah. I look at you crazy only because they I just don't know with them. It's like they're too it's too with me. You know what I'm saying? It's too, in the playoffs you can't be but it's like they real high though. Then it's like Cooper Cup could just magically turn up out of nowhere though, and they were Puka Nacua on the other side. And but it's still like their defense. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of their defense, honestly, in my opinion, to put them.
That they got to get an extra because I think they're sitting all their starters this week, and so I think they're going to get some extra rest going into the playoffs. So they will come in hot.
Yeah, so like I said, I haven't watched their defense though. I don't know anything about their defense for them to be like for me to say that they're contenders. But I do like how the Rams has been playing though, and I do think if the NFC, if you can produce points and get within field goal range, you have the highest potential to win a game. So, and the Rams can definitely do that with that offense and how they've been moving recently. But in the AFC, I feel like this should be fairly quick in my opinion because most of these teams I don't really think can contend for a bowl, but they can, you know what I'm saying, sneak one and then get bounced. Baltimore, we gonna skip past the obvious. Baltimore contenders, we already know. I really do want to see Lamar get one this year for sure.
I want him to get it so bad because I think he might cap off one of the greatest seasons.
Yeah, I think this is his time for sure. Miami.
Going back to the Ravens real quick, just a real quick thing I want to say. I don't think I've seen a team have as good of an offense as Baltimore does, and then somehow find a way to have a better defense. Because that defense really is the true star of that team. But because Lamar's flashy and you know who he is, the offense gets the attention. But my God, that defense is something else.
No, that defense definitely been playing crazy. I think Miami is I think they're contenders.
I give them contenders just because of the Tyreek effect. I think I watched him. I was just talking about it with my stepmother. We were at the Niners Chiefs game, and the Chiefs were down 20-10, and then Tyreek just took over the fourth quarter. And he always is going to have that element to a game just because of his speed.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Miami's contenders. Kansas City, I feel like you never could really count them out. I don't know.
You can't until they show that they can implode in the playoffs. Every year I have to call them a contender until they can suck in the regular season. If they make it to the playoff, historically they've shown they can dominate. So I just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll go with contender because it's still Kansas City at the end of the day. I can't just say like, oh, they had a bad regular season. They've done it before. Jacksonville, I fell off. I don't.
Pretender.
Yeah, I don't think they're a contender for real. They haven't shown.
I'm starting to see graphics of Trevor Lawrence getting compared to Daniel Jones. You ain't a pretender. You ain't a contender if you're getting compared to Daniel Jones.
He has been injured a lot this year though, so
It plays a part, but it also was like T-Law hasn't been like everybody calls him this generational guy, and that's kind of been able to give him some excuses at different points. But T-Law might have to step it up next year for them to really become that contender.
Yeah, for sure. But still, at the end of the day, though, he was hurt though, so it's like I can't expect him to. You know what I'm saying? I can't be too mad at him, in my opinion. But because it is quarterbacks who can play hurt and still play good, such as like Justin Herbert. But not everybody is like him. So yeah. But I'm gonna still go pretenders. Unfortunately, they started off good though, but injuries just piled up and it just started getting worse and worse. This team is very, very tricky that I'm about to say.
Buffalo.
I'm going to call them contenders because they still been winning games, and they have a quarterback who has done it before, and they have a defense who could very well take them to the championship.
But, Joe Flacco.
Yes.
Yes. I am so in on this being contenders. They are. Now, I love the Ravens defense, and you just saw me gush over them. But I watched their game against the Jets. That defense is freakish.
Yeah. Cleveland is crazy. Cleveland is really crazy, and with all the injuries they had, I have to give a big
notch up for Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I don't remember his name. I was just gonna say Browns coach, but I gotta tip my hat to that guy right there. Yeah. You're one of the best running backs in the league. Go out. Deshaun Watson go out. Not that he was. I'm saying not that he was.
They had a few O linemen go out too.
Yeah, a few O linemen go out. I know they had an injury to the defense. I forgot who it was.
It was their safety. What's his name? He came into LSU. Oh, why am I blanking?
It's not Delpit, right?
Yes, Grant Delpit.
Yeah, Grant Delpit. Yeah, So yeah, I think he went out for a couple of games, but they still, you know what I'm saying, kept the ball rolling, kept winning games, kept producing. So yeah, and with like you said, with Joe Flacco going in there, it's like he looks unfazed. Nothing's really bothering him.
That old man talk, like that's serious. Like he
Yeah,
was talking about I seen an interview. They asked him about how he feels being in the locker room, and he was like, I can be some of these guys' dads. And that's real. Like they when he says something, I just know they I know they listen to him.
yeah, like he, like you know what I'm saying, like he throw a couple picks in a game, he shakes it off, go to the next play. So it's like, yeah, like I really do like what Cleveland is doing, and they could really be a big threat to some of the to a Baltimore and to a Miami and a Kansas City also. Next team who possibly could make this. Now, all these teams aren't locked in the playoffs. These are just people who's in like who still has a chance to make the playoffs. Buffalo, if they make it, I'm sorry, I haven't seen enough from Buffalo to make a championship yet. I mean, they had a cool game against Kansas City last year. Don't get me wrong, but Buffalo is like, as I like to say, is one of the best second place teams I've seen.
But they got a chance. Like if they lose, I think they're
Yeah,
not in the playoffs.
if they lose, they're not in. So even if they still do get in and win, I still don't. I don't.
I might put it depends how it looks, but if they beat Miami to go into the playoffs, I might put some respect on their name
But
because, huh?
but why though? If they're playing the same way Philly's been playing these last couple of games,
Well, I'm not comparing them to Philly. I think Philly's a dumpster fire.
and the Bills not.
No, their play calling has not been anywhere nearly as bad as Philly's.
But
See,
but how,
go to a Philly fan and ask them about Brian Johnson or Matt Patricia and Nick Sirianni. Just ask them about those three
I
names, and they
mean,
will
I know
explain
a
to you
Philly fan
everything
who
I'm saying.
hates them, but
Their
I'm just
play
saying,
calling has
like,
been miserable. With the Bills, it's not really a play calling thing. It's just Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things where you're either getting a kid who wants to play playground football or you're going to get Superman. You're not getting anything in the middle. So it just depends which he decides to wake up on that day. There's
but
no. What are you
but
gonna say?
they're not even giving like Diggs the ball. So it's like I really don't know like how.
That's so weird to me. Why is that?
I'm saying like Diggs hasn't really done any. Well, I'm not gonna say he hasn't done anything. He hasn't been seeing the same looks he's been getting in the beginning of the season, like he should be like that wide receiver one. So I don't really know what Buffalo, and it's like their defense. You don't really know. Like I literally watched Buffalo go back with the Chargers, Easton Stick. Like, come on, bro. Like, we almost won that game. That's why I'm like, I don't really know Buffalo. So it's like, I really don't know what to say. And within the past couple years, they haven't really showed me, like I said, aside from that Chiefs game, they have not showed me that they want to win a Super Bowl. They haven't shown me that. So, and this year, it doesn't like they're getting any better. So I'm going to go with Pretenders, even though it still is Buffalo. I mean, cool, great team. But this year, they haven't really showed me a lot that they want to win a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I got you.
Next team, Indianapolis. I don't really know.
I'm just gonna say, and it's cool for Gardner, but Gardner's not a guy who's gonna win you a playoff game. Their team's good, and it was nice for them to get into the playoffs or a chance into the playoffs. But the playoffs are when you start facing those dogs in the AFC, and their team's good, but they're a regular season good. They're not making no noise in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pretender. Houston.
Because Stroud is young, I'm gonna say Pretender. I'm gonna give him some time. It's gonna show. It's gonna show that it's his first time in the playoffs. I guarantee you, it'll show.
I can't agree with that all the way, big brother.
And I understand that,
I
but
can't see.
if
I see this Stroud look better than some of these vets in the league right now. So
the regular season, but the postseason's a whole different ball game. When I like the speed, like players talk about it all the time. The speed not kicks up a notch. People play harder on a down to down basis. Like there's no because it's win or go home at that point. There's no taking a snap off in the regular season. You may catch a defense off because they might be I can take this snap off. This quarterback's been going over here the whole game, so I maybe can relax a little bit. In the playoffs, everybody is sharp. Even if you don't go to my side the whole game, I'm sharp the whole way because I know if I mess up on one play, that can be the difference between my team going home or my team going to the next round. And that's I think that's going to be the difference with Stroud. Like people is going to start playing 100% all the way through. He's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but I think that him being a rookie will show if he does make it in the playoffs.
yeah, I'm not going to say. I don't know. I'm in between. I want to say Pretender, but I want to say
I can
Contender.
understand the contender talk though, 100%.
I'm gonna say contender.
I would love if all the not outer AFC teams could actually make some noise. Like if I get a Ravens Browns AFC Championship, I'd be happy.
Um, I'm I'm going to say contender. I'm going to say contender only because no, I can't. I forgot Tank Dell is hurt. I can't.
Yeah, that plays a part into it because he was a vital part to that.
That defense don't see they Stroud back. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm in between, but if they get in, my gut,
Are they fighting for a wild card or a playoff? Because
for a while. No, their whole division is wide open.
because I'd say this. I think they could win a game or two if they got home field advantage for the first game, because I think that would help Stroud's. I'm sitting here talking about how playoff kicks it up a notch, but that playoff fan crowd also does kick it up a notch. So having the fans behind him could, he's probably one of the most poised,
Yeah.
coolest guys on earth. If he has those fans behind him, it could let him ease into that playoff scenery a bit different than you sending him to like a Baltimore or a Miami, and he's in a very hectic place, and he has to perform on every play.
Yeah, I think I'm in between, but I think their division is wide open, so they can win a game, and I think they get the. I'm trying to remember because I think Jacksonville's in first place, or they all got the same record or something like that. Because it's Jacksonville, Houston, Indy, Houston, Indy. Who
The
the like?
Titans, the Titans, they're out of it.
Yeah, Titans out of it. So them three right there, they all could get first place, I think, or something like that. But I'm gonna say pretender, but they're not a pretender though. I'm gonna go pretender. But they're not a pretender. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go contender and say with the right matchup they could steal a game or potentially go other way. But Tank Dell hurts. I don't know. I'm in between on it because it's like I can see them winning. I can see them winning multiple games though. But it's like it just depends who they play, honestly. So you're right. I'm gonna go pretender for right now. Unfortunately, um, yeah. But they very well could just win a game though. But Pittsburgh, I say Pittsburgh is they're pretenders. I don't really like what Pittsburgh got going on right now. That offense, it look like they don't even know what they're doing half the time. The defense is cool, but yeah, the offense is kind of
Pittsburgh is solely there so that the football gods can continue Mike Tomlin's winning streak. That's all they're there for. They're not a
yeah.
good football team, but
But
they're there.
if they make the playoffs, though, they have the defense. They have the potential in their defense to stop some of these bigger offensive teams.
But they
But
don't have the offense to keep up. You have Mason Rudolph at the helm. I'm sorry. He
they
might
don't
have a nice little game against Seattle, but against those big dogs, you're going to remember who Mason Rudolph is.
Yeah, they don't have the offense. They really don't have the offense unless their defense just create turnovers and get them in field goal range. But you got to do that for what 4 games, 5 games? I don't really see it being possible. So coming out the AFC,
Houston's not a pretender. If Houston's not a contender, they're definitely not.
oh yeah, no, Pittsburgh definitely not a contender for sure. Yeah. Even if they make it, they get bounced first round for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the teams who I really think they are for sure contenders coming out the AFC. Like I said, I think it's Baltimore year. I got Baltimore going on the way. My next 2 teams, I like how Cleveland been playing. I'm gonna put Cleveland in there. I don't know. I don't really care if you want to throw them at 2 or 3, but I'm gonna put Cleveland in there. Miami, I don't. I'm really torn between Miami and KC because Miami is the hot ones, and I feel like this is them with Tua being healthy, their coaching, how everybody's playing, but you cannot count Kansas City out ever.
I think I'd go Baltimore 1. I'd put Kansas City 2 just because I think they're a hard place to play in, and they've proved that. I think Miami has questions around them whether or not they can prove something, and then the Browns are they're just a question mark because they're the Browns. We're all riding this Browns high right now, but on a logistical standpoint, the Browns are a question mark. But so I'd put the Chiefs 2, Miami 3, and the Browns 4.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. I think, like I said, it all
And
depends.
it's just out of respect. I think, the Browns and the Dolphins are more talented than what the Chiefs are because the Chiefs are hanging on to an old Travis Kelce on offense and Mahomes magic, and their defense is lackluster. But with Andy Reid and Mahomes, I'm giving that more credit than when I'm giving a Joe Flacco-led Browns and Tua and the Dolphins.
Yeah, for sure. So that's that. We're going to get on to the next two things we got here attached today. Now, the question that everybody in the NFL world has been talking about is the Bears with this number one pick. And me personally, I think it's big, but it's not that big as a problem that everybody makes it seem. You know what I'm saying? I think I don't know. I just don't like the messing up what you already got going on. I'm a big believer in that. If you
It
build
comes
it,
down. Go ahead.
if you build it something, I don't believe you should mess with it. You should toy with it. It may be a little broke, but if it ain't all the way broke, you don't need to fix it. But I'm gonna go last. The question of the day is: if you are the Bears GM, if you are Ryan Poles, I believe his name is, if you in the front office, we obviously know who's going number one. We obviously know that, and we know who the Bears got at quarterback. What are you doing if you got the number one pick?
I think it really boils down to Poles looking himself in the mirror and asking himself one question. Do you think you can win a Super Bowl with Justin Fields? That's the only question you have to ask yourself. There's no other important question. If you think Justin Fields can lead you to a Super Bowl, then you do what you need to do. You ship that first pick to whatever team's giving you the most. And I think they got like the 8th pick, and you just try and stack up from that standpoint. But if you don't think Fields is the guy who, and he'd know better than anybody because he sees him the most, he talks to him the most. If you don't think Fields has the capabilities of a Super Bowl making quarterback, then you go reset it and you go get Caleb Williams. The thing that people don't talk about are the repercussions that come with risking going with Caleb Williams. Because yes, it's nice, and yes, he is the most talented player in the draft, but you've already had DJ Moore come out and say he wants Fields. So that's your wide receiver one that you just traded for, who if you trade Fields is going to become disgruntled. That's a fact. He won't be happy about it, regardless of how good Williams is. 2, you're going to have to worry about Williams adjusting to being a rookie because someone as high profiled as him is going to come with a lot more than a regular rookie. On a day-to-day basis, he's going to have media probably down his throat all the time. He's going to have people worried about what he's doing all the time. And that might take away from him being able to learn how to travel as a rookie or, how to study film during the week. Because you got to understand, these are kids who are going from college and they were doing football, but they still had to do some school to now their whole life is football. So he has to. Do you think Caleb is invested enough to continue to try and get better? Because the one thing you've seen for Fields is he's got to the biggest stage, but continue to progress. He's just keep getting better and better. With Caleb, yes, he might already have the talent, but he might come to the league and be like, okay, I'm gonna be relying on the talent I already have. I'm not gonna try and get better. And there's question marks around that. But people don't bring those questions. They just want to think, oh, it's Caleb Williams. You have to go get him. But there's so many things that could go wrong with trying to reset it and ship. Because also, if you ship Fields and he goes somewhere and he performs and then Caleb struggles, oh, Jesus, Ryan Poles is getting fired.
Yeah, it's going to look bad.
It's going to look awful. So why not stick it out with the guy that, and you even have the fan, and those Chicago's fans have been all off of Fields, all season. They were, no, we don't want Fields. No, we don't want Fields. Especially when Tyson Magic came in and started winning games. They were like, no, we don't want Fields. For Fields to come in and post injury and play as high level ball as he has to change the fans' perspective, to have DJ Moore stick up for him publicly, for him to do all of that in the span of 5 weeks, I think you ride that high, especially with how good their defense is playing. You ride that high. You build you trade that first round pick, and then you have like a Goliath of picks to get more receiving help, get more O-line help, get more edge help for Montez Sweat. Like there's so many different routes you can go, but trying to reset it at QB, I think sets them back, even if the talent gap isn't as big as most people would like to think it is.
Yeah, I think me personally, like I said, I believe it's not broke. I mean, it's like I said, there were times where we did think, okay, Justin Fields may be broke. Justin Fields may not be the guy who we thought he was in college. But I still think there's things that he does in the league that, you know what I'm saying, you just can't teach. Me, when I was watching Justin Fields coming out of OSU, I'm thinking like, oh, this is, you know what I'm saying, a great passer. The pass he was making is crazy. I didn't know Justin Fields was this freak of an athlete.
Yo,
Watching
no
him in
one
college.
talks about that. Like, he completely switched player profiles.
Totally. So I'm like, and it accommodated to what the Bears was giving him. If the Bears not giving him no time, like nothing to develop to go through his reads, he's taking off. I did not see all of that at Ohio State.
The
I see him
first
dropping back, reading, delivering beautiful passes, 40, 50, 60 yards down the field, dropping a dime. So it's like I'm seeing something totally different out of Justin Fields. And I know we can get that out of him sooner or later. So it's like if we build around him, we watch what he can do throwing the ball. I don't know why the media acts like he can't throw the ball. Justin Fields can very well throw the ball at a high level, but it's just you still have to give him time to establish that and to show that. Like we can't show that he's can throw the ball when he's getting 2 seconds trying to throw to who was he throwing to last year? Darnell Mooney at wide receiver 1 and
St. Brown.
yeah, like nobody trying to sit here and watch. His best pass catcher was Cole Kmet last year. Like, come on now. Now he got DJ Moore. Things look a little more polished. He got off to a rough start. I will say that. The beginning, it did not look pretty at all.
I also like this. This is another thing for me of why it upsets me so much. Why the Bears are trying to move off fields and I'm glad you brought it up because he did have one of, and I think it's probably the greatest player profile switch coming in from college to the NFL because he just went from like the first time people really looked at Fields and was like, "Oh, you're athletic," was when he ran a 4.40 or 4.41 at his Ohio State Pro Day. That's when they were like, "Oh, you maybe can be a little athletic." But in college, he was just dropping back, getting to the top of his 3-step drop and just letting that thing go. And that's why.
It go the same thing to say with CJ Stroud too. The whole season during that CJ Stroud last year, I remember like it was yesterday. Oh, we don't want him in the draft. He can't run. Oh, we don't want him in the draft because he's not smart. I don't know if you remember what CJ Stroud did. Was it that Georgia game?
It was Georgia. Yeah, it was the
game. He was taking off like it was nothing.
He was cooked. That game was the one that really like took his name to the top.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I really think if I'm the Bears, I know me personally, I'm sticking out with Justin Fields. He's shown me the highs. He showed me his lows. I don't think his lows could get no lower than what it is now. He showed me he can run the ball if he needs to. He showed me he can throw the ball. I know he can throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? The whole team already has built chemistry with him. The fans love him. And why not put another weapon around him? If anything, we don't need that first pick.
No, not even that. You were, and truth be told, the Bears should have the 8th pick right now. No, nothing else being said. But they were gifted the first pick from the Carolina Panthers. And you are being gifted a kid who is being said to be a automatic gold jacket player. He's being compared to his father. You have probably the greatest receiver coming out in this draft. Take him at 1. Put him on the other side of Marvin. Put him on the other side of DJ Moore. What is so wrong? Why not? Why not? You have a great 2 wide receiver tandem. Because realistically, who's going to trade? You'll trade up to 1. If you trade out of 1, you're not getting Marvin Harrison. But if you have the chance to match Marvin Harrison, why isn't it true?
Who's at number 2? The Cardinals, right? No, it's Washington, right?
It's Washington or New England. So they'll be 2 and 3.
They're going to get a quarterback. Both of them are getting a quarterback.
But exactly, and then the Cardinals will be at 4. So if you drop past, if you trade out of 1, unless you're trading with 2 or 3 with New England or Washington, you're losing out on Marvin Harrison. And I think I wouldn't be able to sit losing out on Marvin Harrison when that could boost Fields' development because he'd go from having Darnell Mooney, Equanimeous St. Brown, Dante Pettis as his wide receiver to Marvin Harrison. Imagine an offense that has Fields at the quarterback / running back because he can run too. Wide receiver 1, DJ Moore, so he's getting one-on-one matchups. Marvin Harrison, and then Cole Kmet coming out of tight end. That is an offense that will win you a Super Bowl. Especially with the way that defense was playing toward the end of the stretch of the season, that's an offense that can take you to the top because Fields will extend the play, and no team, and I mean no team, is sticking with DJ Moore or Marvin Harrison for longer than 5 seconds. And Fields extends the play longer than that.
I just don't feel comfortable taking a wide receiver at 1. That's just me personally, though. When I think, like you said, at 4, it gives us a little room for error. I think to scoop back a little bit, get him.
If he ends up being a Hall of Famer, who cares if he was the first pick? Positional value shouldn't mean anything. If he's the best player, he's the best player. He won the Biletnikoff solely off of his name.
He definitely did. You're right. He won it solely off his name.
Good.
You're right. I mean, me personally, I just don't feel comfortable taking him at 1. That's just me personally. I'm not against it
I
though.
understand it, but I definitely think they should
You're right.
try.
Like you said, some people believe some people and almost all of media believes he's the best player in the draft. If not him, then it's Caleb Williams. He's 1 and 2, if not 1A, 1B. So there's nothing wrong with him getting taken that first overall in the draft. It's just a personal thing with me. I just wouldn't feel safe with taking that number 1 in the draft when I know we can scoop back just an inch or two and get more and probably still get him. I could probably get the most bang for my buck, in my opinion, at 2 or 3 if we go ahead and let them 1 or 2 teams move up and boom.
I feel you.
But yeah, I think like I said, the main agenda here is both the Bears need to stick with Justin Fields. Um, get everything they can get out of him. You know what I'm saying? I think Justin Fields he's progressing slowly, and once he gets that confidence back that he can throw the ball how he was throwing the ball in college, mixed with his running ability, it's going to be a really crazy thing to see in Chicago. It's going to be really crazy, especially if they can get another wide receiver, and even if it's not Marvin Harrison, it's still other
I
wide
did.
receivers.
I did see, and this is probably it was from like the Athletic, so it wasn't from like a Giants page, but one page did like a mock draft, and they had the Bears trading with us, so they'd move down to 5 and take Neighbors, and we'd get Caleb. And I really wouldn't hate that for the Bears because you'd get Neighbors, so and I already told you I think, and I'll say it on here just so it's taken. I think Neighbors could be a better pro than Marv will, but I'll keep that to myself. But if they got Neighbors and then they'd have the 8th pick too, I think they should get another edge to pair with Montez Sweat, who's a baller. I'm telling you, D, that team is something serious. If they draft a quarterback, they put themselves behind more years than they would if they just ride it out with Justin. Like
Nah, it
Justin,
definitely will.
and
It's
you can ask Ashton, DJ, Sam, any of them. I thought Fields was going to be the worst thing coming out of college. And for him to persuade me, like I'm rude. I want him on my team now. So if he's been able to like persuade all these people that he belongs, I think the GM's got to make the right call.
Yeah, I definitely think he should stay for Stroller. Like I said, I would love to see if he stay. Love to see if they get another weapon on the opposite side of DJ Moore. And I also think they need one more piece on defense. I haven't really looked at their D line like that, but like I said, I believe you say that they probably need another edge rusher.
But
But
they're good on the back end. Their linebackers between Edmonds and Edwards are really good. It's really just Montez Sweat is the only one getting pressure on that front four. So you have to focus on helping him get some pressure.
But yeah, last thing we're gonna go over is one thing that you brought to my attention is the NFL benching their starters and players towards the end of this season.
I'll start, and this was going back to earlier in the show when I said I wanted to continue my rant about the Eagles, but it's Thursday when I'm saying this, and the game isn't until Sunday. But Nick Sirianni has been talking about maybe sitting his starters going into the first round of the playoffs because Dallas locked up the NFC East, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Dallas could still very well lose to Washington. They did it last year in Week 18 when Sam Howell put on a masterclass. So it's very well like division games are, as much as the talent might be this, just because it's a division game, it becomes this. So they very well could still lose. You play at the same time at 425. In what world do you bench your starters just because Dallas is supposed to win the game? Like that's not a competitor. It really shows who. I was just watching a video about Jim Harbaugh talking about players not playing in bowl games, but you really start to see which guys are a competitor and which ones aren't. Dan Campbell's team is 11-5 or 12-4, and they have nothing to play for anymore. And they are still going out that last week because it's a division game, and they're gonna punch their ass in the mouth because that's the mentality that Dan Campbell has. Nick Sirianni, and this is why I think they are not a good team because it's who is at the top. He's okay with laying down and being and accepting mediocrity. That Eagles team is not what they're capable of. I think they have offensively on paper, they're top 3. They're playing like they're bottom 3 currently. And for you to say as a head coach, I'm okay with my guys taking an extra week of rest. And granted, it might be because they're hurt. But if you're okay with them going into the last week, not trying to gain momentum and finishing that last week off strong going into the playoffs, you can't tell me you're a good coach.
But I will say, in Nick Sirianni's defense, I think he's more so saying there's no way that they're going to get the first seeding. He already know they're locked into the playoffs. Why would I play my starters week 18? I'm not against it only because I sat there and watched one of my players last year, if I'm not mistaken, Mike Will got hurt in like week 18, week 17. No. Week 17, before week 18, and he got hurt and he didn't need to play. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before last, but either way, he got hurt. No. It was last year because we didn't need to win. We didn't need to win. We played the Broncos, and he got hurt in the Broncos game, and he wasn't available for the Jaguars game, or he wasn't 100%. And he very well didn't need to play because we already was going to the wild card. We was locked into the playoffs. So that's why I think in Nick Sirianni's defense, he's not playing for nothing but home field advantage, if I'm not mistaken.
And the difference for home field advantage, especially when you play in the link, come on, D. Like
Right.
that's
But
the worst place to play in the playoffs, hands down.
Though, they're not like they already lost a couple games at home before. It's not like they're an undefeated team at home.
I understand that, but in the playoffs, how like go ask the Niners last year. Like Fred Warner said, he'd never bring his wife back there because that place is just so hostile that it is hard to go in. If I have a chance to bring bring another team in a playoff scene into the link, I'm doing it. I watched my Giants crumble in the NFC Championship, not because we were so talentless, because it's so hard to play in the link. Like because of the fans, because of how much they're heckling the players, like it all plays a part into the mindset they have. And if I was Nick, I would 100% play him because, especially with you lost to the Cardinals, that's embarrassing. Should have lost to the Giants, even more embarrassing. And then you were already on a 3-game losing streak. You need something to go your way going into the postseason to give your players, your coordinators, your coaches some kind of hope that you can go in and make some noise. Because I'm telling you, D, you may not believe me, but I know Eagles fans do because I talk to a lot of them. If they go into the playoffs with the mindset and with the team that they have right now, they are going to get pounced first round.
Okay, so let me ask you this: you Nick Sirianni, right? You play all your starters week 18. Who did they play? The Giants, right?
Mm-hmm.
You play the Giants. Middle of the second quarter, you run a tush push. Jalen Hurts gets injured. Now what?
You can't even say because they've been running the tush push all year. So if
but Jalen Hurts already has a bad knee right now. The whole world
they continue to run the tush push. They ran it last week. They ran it the week before.
So if you're playing him on week 18, and let's just say this is the week that he, God forbid, knock on wood, that he gets injured, now he's out for the whole playoffs.
Then that's just something you have to take. But no way you're laying down saying I'm okay with sitting in a wild card spot when I have a chance. Like you're telling me if you were leading a team, you're gonna go in and you're gonna say I'm okay with whether or not we get a wild card spot because McVay's doing the same thing. But the difference with McVay's doing, they are either getting the 6th or the 7th spot, so they have no chance at home field advantage.
If I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm doing the same exact thing. Yes, I am. Yes, because there's no point in me playing my starters. And we just said they're playing the Giants. No offense. If I don't have enough faith for my backups to beat the Giants,
the starters almost didn't beat the Giants, and their starters just lost to the Cardinals. So you're telling me those same starters are going to play the Niners, the Cowboys, the Lions, and beat them?
If my starters almost just lost to the Giants and we lost to the Cardinals, why am I about to risk them again for another Giants game that we could possibly lose or win and not gain that much? Because let's say even if they do win and the Cowboys win, the Cowboys still going to win the division. So why am I about to put that much?
So let me ask you this: say you bench your starters and you lose, and the Cowboys end up losing. How sick are you going to be that you have to look yourself and your team in the mirror and say, we didn't have home field advantage because I decided I was going to sit our starters. And that may look cool in the moment, but then say you lose the first round of the playoffs because you got to go to who's 3 and 4 seed in there because you got to go to Detroit. And those Detroit fans are going to be the loudest of any team this playoffs because they haven't been there.
I'm not risking an injury. I'm sorry. I didn't see it too many times. I'm not risking an injury over, and it's not like they have lost at Lincoln Stadium almost a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna say a lot. I don't know the record at home, but they're not some crazy talented home team like a Dallas, I believe. Isn't Dallas only lost like once at home, if that? They're not something crazy like that where it's like, oh, we desire to need home field advantage. They haven't
been playing in Dallas Stadium versus playing in the Link. Two different things. Like I genuinely mean it when I say the Link is the hardest stadium I think there is to play in the NFL.
I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying I don't have that much. Like if I'm Nick Sirianni, like I said, I'm doing the same thing because they 6-2 at home. Not a bad record, but obviously it's not something Nick Sirianni's dying enough to, you know what I'm saying, risk his starters potentially getting hurt for, especially with his franchise quarterback playing on a bad knee, knowing anything could happen. I just don't think it's not enough risk to risk to reward factor in that. That's all I'm saying.
Right. All
And
I'm saying,
even if they do, even if the teams who they do play, I very well think they can beat them away. Like, what are they going to get? The 6th seed, I believe, right? 6th or 5th if they lose.
they get the 5th.
Right. So they're probably going to play that what? Detroit, Dallas.
They'll play Tampa. They'll play Tampa or New Orleans that division first week. They'll probably beat
They're
them.
going to beat them. That's what I'm saying. And then they go to a
Even
Dallas.
then, what confidence are you getting from that? The one playoff team I beat is the one division that everybody's saying is the worst division in the NFC.
But
That's
still,
going to give me confidence.
why am I risking injuries just for a maybe?
Because that maybe could be the difference in you getting me back to that bowl or you getting pounced because you got to go to Detroit or Dallas.
I don't think so, bro. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think it's that major for them. But that's just my opinion, though. I like I said, if I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm doing the same thing because the other team are doing the same thing also.
Agree to disagree.
Like I said, I've literally seen one of my key players in my offense as a Chargers fan get hurt before the playoffs. So that's why I say I ride with Nick Sirianni on this one. I would do the same thing because injuries is too big to risk around this time, especially when you lock into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're that bad away team either. Yeah, their away record and home record is 1-0.
My point really does the leg I'm standing on right now isn't really how they play away or at home. It's more so just
stadium.
That and just the condition of the team that they currently have. If they look good in those 3 losses, or if they looked good against Arizona, like I wouldn't be saying this, but them as a team just do not look good, and you need that team camaraderie for a good playoff team. Look at Baltimore; their team is off the charts, off the field. They love each other. Just go back to last year's Eagles. Look at this point last season with the Eagles, and just look how different everybody's faces look at this point in the season. Last season, it was all smiles. Everything was going right. Now, nothing is going right. So you want to do everything in your power to get back to everything going right.
Yeah. I feel it. But that's going to conclude our episode of Not Ball Talk. It's probably like episode 4, 5. I lost count. But we somewhere around there right now. And it's going to the NFL playoffs. We'll see you guys next time.